Good evening. Welcome to the school board meeting for April the 12th, 2018. We have so many exciting things going on tonight. I'm so glad to see you here. We're reconvening from closed session, and I think we will begin with a flag salute led by Jeffrey Taimalulu and Maya Bukili. Did I get it close? Is that good? Okay. So let's stand and do our pledge.
Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this meeting is being televised and recorded for the transcription of the minutes. This meeting will be replayed on MCTV Channel 27 on Saturday, April 14th, 2018 at 11:30 a.m. and the following Monday, April 16th, 2018 at 3:30 p.m. At this time, speakers wishing to address the board this evening should turn in the completed speaker card to the board secretary. A report on action taken in our closed session. We considered interdistrict transfer requests, and I need to report that IDA 1819005 was denied, IDA 1819006 was denied, IDA 1819007 was denied, IDA 1819008 was denied, IDA 1819009 was denied, IDA 1819010 was denied. IDA 1819011 was denied. IDA 1819012 was denied. IDA 19013 was denied. And IDA 181904 was also denied. I will now accept a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
So moved.
Trustee Ferrario, second Trustee Musa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Now we have a very special presentation. So Vaughn, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, trustees. Tonight we do have a special presentation. Tonight we are providing commendations for members from the Millbrae Sheriff, our Central County Fire Department, American Medical Response, AMR, and some familiar faces, Miss Mariah and Natasha Barbaro. So tonight, I do believe that Trustee Barbaro will start off with a message for our honored guest tonight.
Good evening, everyone. We have some special guests in the house tonight. We have Lamita Park School here, and we have Mariah Barbaro and Natasha Barbaro in the Central County Fire Department. On November 15th, I had a cardiac arrest at 1 a.m. My daughter Mariah had learned CPR in 10th grade and in the Mills High School PE class. Mariah and Natasha started CPR and made 2 calls to 911. The firemen were there in 5 minutes. They immediately started CPR on me. 11 defibrillator shocks and 5 adrenaline shots. They didn't give up on me. They got me to the hospital, and I survived and had a full recovery. The Millbrae community was super supportive during this time. My neighbors decorated my house with Christmas ornaments. They brought food to my family and well wishes. My Millbrae Lions Club and Rotary Club members were there for me with get well wishes and support. All of our schools sent me get well cards. Spring Valley's first grade class sent me 25 get well cards. That was a real boost. My fellow trustees, our superintendent, and district office staff were so supportive to me and my family. A special shout out to my wife, Chris, and friend, Trustee President Dennis Fama, for visiting me numerous times in the hospital and bringing Holy Communion to me. And so tonight we commend my 2 daughters and our Central County firemen, our first responders. These are some of the same men and women who will come to you, your school, your house, in a 911 call. I wouldn't be here tonight without my daughters knowing CPR. CPR saved my life. Thank you, community of Millbrae.
Go ahead.
Trustee Barbaro, if I can ask you assist Mr. Champion with presentations of the certificates, and President Fama, if I can ask that you read the commendations and individual names from our specific organizations.
Thank you. Each of the individuals tonight will receive a similar certificate, which reads, the Millbrae School District Certificate of Appreciation is hereby presented to that person on April 12th of 2018 for outstanding performance on an emergency response, care, and treatment to Trustee Frank Barbaro of the Millbrae School District. So let us, as a board, also thank you in advance for saving our colleague. I will read the names of the individuals, if you could come forward. And first we'll start with Engine 37, Captain Paramedic John Sivikis. Is that correct, John?
Okay.
Okay.
He can't be with us.
He can't be with us, okay. Firefighter Paramedic Trevor Wines.
Okay.
I can let you watch.
All right. Okay, very good.
Okay.
There's a lot of them.
It's like bingo. And firefighter paramedic Mark Amaza.
Hi, how are you? I'm good. Thank you.
And last on engine 37, CCFD intern Patrick Opido.
Also not here
Not here tonight. Then from engine 38, Captain Paramedic John Olch.
Thank you.
Firefighter paramedic, this is easier, Jim Davis.
Good guy. Good guy. Jim, thanks for being here. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Firefighter Jerry Goff. Not here either. Okay. And then from AMR, the American Medical Response Ambulance, medic number 403 personnel, Otiono Rodriguez.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, Hideyuki Maki.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Glad you're doing so well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's one. I'm gonna fall down too.
And we also have Joel Chan.
Not here? Okay. Okay.
And these are names I'll have no problem with. Frank's lovely daughters, Mariah and Natasha Barbaro.
Give me a kiss. Come on. Come on, smooch me.
We're not going to continue the meeting until Chris Barbaro joins her husband. Chris.
Why you go here? So I could be right here, and I'm covered. Yay!
So thank all of you for the wonderful work that you do every day in our community, and especially in this case where one of our beloved friends was saved through your efforts and the efforts of his family and the CPR program. Appreciate it. Thank you. And now the second treat for this evening is our school spotlight, good old Lomita Park. Christine.
Good evening, President Fema, trustees, Superintendent Faperser, members of the cabinet, and members of the Lomita Park and Millbrae community. Thank you for inviting us here tonight and for giving us the opportunity to update you on all things Lomita Park. I'm honored to be here and especially pleased to be joined by a couple of my awesome teaching staff and especially by these awesome Lomita Park students and the 4th and 5th graders that are going to perform for you just a little bit later. When I began working on my presentation for tonight, I found myself jumping from topic to topic and switching gears over and over. There was so many great things I could find to talk about tonight that it was hard to know where to start. And then it finally dawned on me. I thought, I've been a member of this Millbrae community for many, many years. First as a student myself, I was an after-school sports coach at one of the elementary schools, and now as a parent, and fortunately for me, the principal at Lomita Park. But until this year, I never really knew too much about Lomita Park, honestly speaking, because I didn't attend school there, my kids didn't go to school there, and that's not where I got to coach when I was in high school and college. And it made me think that for all those years, to me, Lomita Park was one of the awesome schools in Millbrae, and that's kind of what I knew about it. Until I started digging deeper, and then I finally get to live there, and now I really know how great it is. But it made me think, I wonder how many other people in our community feel the same way. Oh yeah, Lomita Park, it's one of the other schools in Millbrae. And I thought I want to really be able to show people what a great place Lomita Park is and what a great family we have there. And the best way to do that is to get to people to visit, spend time there, actually learn and feel what it's all about. But aside from begging all of you to hold the meeting tonight at Lomita Park, the best way that I could come up to do that was to take you on a virtual tour of our school. And so that's what I've prepared for you tonight, is a virtual tour of Lomita Park. So on this tour today, I'll be taking you through sort of, if you were there in person, what might you see happening around campus? You might see things such as our school-wide morning meeting, excellent instruction happening in classrooms, specialist classes, different enrichment opportunities for our students, many other activities happening at school, and I'll give you a glimpse into some of the upcoming events that we have happening. So let's get started. Every morning at Lomita Park, our school gathers together in the morning on the playground. You can see them all here. Students line up and wait for their teachers, and when the bell rings, we're led by our 5th grade leadership students in the pledge as a community. I think this is a great way for our students to get some leadership experience. It's also a great community building activity, as well as an opportunity for us to be able to communicate as a school. You get a lot of messages out to people while we're out there. Then students move into their classrooms with their teachers, where you'll get to see lots of awesome stuff happening. Kids will be involved in their language arts studies or math studies with the Wonders curriculum in Eureka Math. It's really exciting to walk into classrooms and see the kids really engaged and the teachers providing such great differentiation and instruction and making sure that the needs of all the students in their classroom are met. The kids are really engaged and excited about their learning. Next generation science standards is also something you might happen to see as we walk through a classroom, or students involved in writing workshop, all the way from the transitional kindergartners, the little guys, up to the 5th graders who are ready to make their transition into middle school. So everyone is really participating and getting really, really great instruction when you walk through the classrooms and being provided lots of different learning opportunities. Here are just some more fun things happening. Some 3rd graders and science activities, kids in art or getting their hands on some technology, getting to share stories, and even learning public speaking skills as they get up in front of their classrooms and present and actually get to become teachers themselves and really show their depth of knowledge in whatever subject area it is that they're presenting in. You might also see students at their specialist classes, so in instrumental music. 4th and 5th graders are involved in that. All of the students might, at some time or another, be in the computer lab, or in vocal music, or in PE. So all of those things are happening. And these things are great because not only are they learning different things, but different kids are getting different opportunities to shine in different places too. So that's really fun to see. We have some other great enrichment programs happening. PBIS is one of them, Positive Base Intervention System. We're just beginning to roll that out at Lomita Park, really focusing on positive reinforcement and teaching students how to be really great citizens and carrying that forward into their daily lives. We acknowledge our school-wide bucket fillers at school. So we told the kids we're waiting for them to do awesome things, which they do all the time. And so as students get caught being bucket fillers at school, the adults take notice. And once a month, we have an assembly at school where those students get caught being bucket fillers are publicly recognized. They get up in front of the school and receive their award. And it's a great time for us to be able to acknowledge those students doing such fantastic things. You'll see students around school acting as leaders. We have a 5th grade leadership club. These students have all kinds of responsibilities. They may be helping with the kindergarten students during recess time. They help out in other teachers' classrooms, do office help. They help set up at recess or clean up after recess and lunch. So lots of opportunities for them to get involved and really get to shine and become leaders within our school, and great role models for the younger kids as they're coming up. We also, on any given day, you may see an assembly happening. We've had a great partnership with the Millbrae Library this year. Last month, the library provided for us, in partnership with us, a international folktale assembly. A group of performers came out and performed some folktales from different parts of the world for our 3rd through 5th graders. And coming up in May, we will have an author visit for our kindergarten through 2nd graders as well. So that should be really exciting. Cole Mansion, we have a Cole Mansion grant called Everyone Has a Voice in partnership with our 4th graders. They're coming and working with them and doing some more arts instruction, and there will be a pretty cool performance at the end of that in June. And last but not least is our LEAP Arts and Education program, which started this year at Lomita Park. Our LEAP provides different arts instruction in all mediums of art. Our kindergarten through 1st grade has chosen to take part in the visual arts. So once a week for 10 weeks, an instructor from LEAP comes out to Lomita Park, and our library transforms into an art studio, which is really cool. The kids have been using oil pastels and watercolors, and now they're working on a mural, which is really exciting. Our 2nd and 3rd graders are learning about Latin and Afro-Brazilian dance. So that's really cool when you go out and they're in the library and you hear this great music going on and the kids are dancing and following along. It's very exciting. And our 4th and 5th graders who are here tonight are participating in hip hop instruction. So we have got some pretty awesome dancers amongst us tonight. And this is going to be their opportunity to show off a little bit for you all the great things that they've learned and how great they really are. I could go on and on about LEAP and about Lomita Park, but I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Julie DeMaio, who's going to give you her view into the LEAP program as a teacher at Lomita Park, and then we will invite our students to come up and do a little performance.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you from the board and the administration for this opportunity to share how we feel about this at Lomita Park. The students and teachers are all really, really enjoying this opportunity that we've been given. I know when we sat together as teachers in grade level groups, we gave a lot of thought into which program to select that would give the best opportunity to our unique children within our grade bands, because this is such a wonderful opportunity to teach the whole child that we really wanted to match their interest at their particular developmental stage. And I can tell you the 4th and 5th graders hip-hopping is pretty amazing. I have not seen the others yet, but we go at separate times, so I don't know if Mrs. Osorio does this as well, but I'm hip-hopping right along with them and enjoying myself. So sadly, you will not get to see Mrs. Osorio and I perform because it's about the kids tonight. So many of the students, though, when we asked them, what does the LEAP time mean to you? It was words like fun, dance, but it was also expression, creativity, and emotion. And these are not things that they generally get to display in our regular core curriculum. So it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for them to see challenges, but also successes when they don't normally get to. And with that builds confidence. And that confidence is showing in great ways in their curriculum. Because they're able to shine, express, show emotion during the LEAP time, we're seeing a change in behavior in the classroom and their involvement and engagement across the board. So thank you for the opportunity to share our dance. I do want to tell you it is a work in progress. And these children have never danced all together. Mine dance at a different time than Mrs. Osorio's. But the evolution we've seen over the weeks that we've been working with the dance instructor, who, by the way, drives all the way from Vacaville to provide this for us, is pretty amazing. I think you're going to enjoy what you see tonight. So thank you for this opportunity to share.
All right, guys. I would like to invite our fourth graders up to the front. We're going to have two groups. Our fourth graders will perform first, and then our fifth graders will perform for you after that. So fourth graders, come on up. That's the right one. Yes. Yeah. All right, you guys ready? All right, fourth graders. Here we go. Music's on. That was awesome. Thank you, you guys. Fantastic. All right, fifth graders, you are up. Come on up. Jeffrey. They're so cute. I love it. All right, fifth graders, here comes your music. Thank you, fifth graders. That was fantastic. Weren't they great? That was awesome. So proud of all of them, and you guys were great. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, parents, for bringing them out tonight. And thank you to everyone for having us. As I promised, just a little glimpse into some upcoming events that we have at Lomita Park. Soon, our Lomita Park 101 Parent Ed Night and Science Night for students is this Monday evening. So we have 3 teachers who will be presenting different parent ed opportunities, while Mad Science comes in and does a science assembly as well as hands-on learning activities for the kids. This Monday, our Reading is Fundamental RIF program, where Trustee Ferrario will join us, is coming up April 26th. Rad Day, Read All Day Day, is the following day, April 27th, so hopefully they'll be able to take those books that they pick up at RIF and use with them that day. Our PTA pasta dinner is Friday, June 1st, and this summer, very exciting, we're going to be able to offer Jumpstart Summer School for incoming kinder through incoming fifth graders. So every grade level has invited students to attend that this summer. So that is our tour. I hope that someday you will visit us in person and I'll get to take you on a tour personally. But thank you very much.
So you will send us the video clip of the teachers?
Absolutely, yes, I will. Okay. I promise.
Well, thank you so much. I think our colleagues have comments they'd like to make. Maggie?
Me first?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I do have comments. I think the LEAP program is amazing, and I think we have it at Green Hills. Is it funded by the PTA or?
Different schools have funded it differently. We funded it through some grant or donation money that we have.
Good. I mean, the kids look like they had a great time doing it, and it's so much fun. Other than just curriculum, I think what makes a whole child is everything. It's math and stuff. Like, that's always, being outside the box is always great for the kids. Anyway, Christina, we're very lucky to have you at Lomita, and I hope the teachers and enjoying Christina like we are.
Thank you.
So, and parents, thank you for your time. You're with the PTA and helping out in the classroom, and the teachers. Without you guys, our kids. You guys, you're giving our kids the best that they deserve. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Frank.
Yes. Well, what a great performance. It was really exciting. You have a lot of energy.
I try.
But no, you really do, and it resonates in the school. You have a great staff, yeah. and I love the empowerment of the students. You're empowering the students, to do different things, and it helps them in their curriculum. So I commend you and your staff. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn.
Yes. No comment, right? Christina, I had the same journey as you. My children, my students, went all through the Millbrae schools, and I taught at one of the schools, and I subbed at several of the schools. And then I had the great opportunity to be principal of Lomita Park. And I have to tell you, it was the best 5 years of my life. And I have to thank this whole community and all these children. It is a really special place. So if you haven't been there, you have to just take a peek and just take a virtual tour, because it really is a special place. It's kind of a hidden treasure, actually, because you're kind of nestled back there. And I just love all of you so much. And kids, you did a great job. I'm glad you're hip-hopping and you're doing all that fun stuff. And teachers back there, and Christina, how lucky you are and how lucky they are. So, thank you.
Well, Lomita Park is now known as the School of Rock.
I I like it. That's our new slogan.
Right on. Thank you so much, Christine, for bringing these children to us. I feel like I know every single child in this room because I read over at the school. And I have to tell you a story. Years ago, when Lynn was the real principal, I was named the principal for a day, which is a program they have in Millbrae. They pick somebody to come over. And I'd like to say that my whole career as a school board member took off from that point. But it really did expose me to being in the classroom, being with the kids, being out at recess in the schools. And so I began to volunteer even before I was on the school board. And I can tell people it takes 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week, to go over there and spend some time with these kids. And do you kids like it when I come to read to you? Does that work out? Okay. Just the way we cued it. That's but anyway, I love you guys to death, and the teachers, the staff, and the kids are just wonderful to be around. So for all of those people watching on TV that are looking for something to do once a week, look to your schools and see if you can't volunteer some time. Yes.
Trustee Ravello couldn't be here this evening. He's actually with the Taylor students down in Anaheim, the music students. So he wanted me to make sure that he gave his best to Lomita Park. His children went through Lomita Park, and he has you all have a very special place in his heart too, so he sends his best.
Okay, now comes the most important part of the evening. We have cookies, which are up here. So we'll take about a 10-minute break, so come on up and enjoy yourselves. And thank you for being here. All right, to continue, that was wonderful. The second, item 6.3 on the agenda under presentations, the Schoolworks Facility Master Plan first draft. And as this is being presented, I understand that it's okay for the board members to ask questions, or we can save it till the end, or you can, if you have something pressing, you can just ask while we're doing the presentation, okay? Okay, Dick?
Trustees, before I bring up Ken and Brett from Schoolworks, I just want to a little bit of history. We looked at they first presented back in January of 2017. We approved their contract in April of 2017, and they first made a presentation to the board of January of this year. And tonight they're going to be presenting their first draft from all their findings. And as you recall, we did a number of surveying of our community, of our teaching staff, to come to some of the conclusions tonight. Site visits where these two gentlemen literally crawled in ceilings, into walls, underneath foundations, and braved the traffic jams and parking lots of our district. And they walked not only our sites, but the community. They met with community leaders and stakeholders throughout Millbrae. So I'm going to bring up Ken and Mike to present.
Actually, it's Brett and Mike, but Ken is here. He's here in spirit. So, first of all, I guess we can clear a room, obviously. So, really exciting stuff. But I wanted to just thank you again for having us speak with you again. As Rick said, this is our second time here. I'm just going to kind of go over some information that we discussed briefly at our last meeting. I have some new information to share, and then Mike's going to come up and talk about some more of the fun aspects of this, which is looking at some cost estimates based on the needs that we analyzed when we did your site walks and when we had the surveys from the teachers and from the community and so forth. So we'll go back and we'll just kind of look at your some demographic and enrollment projection information. This map is just showing you your attendance boundaries. So we have, and I have to put my glasses on, I apologize because I'm half blind here. So one thing to keep in mind when you look at your attendance boundaries is you have a rather unique cutout there in Lomita Park with Spring Valley. This is one of the charts that's in the enrollment projection, the demographic study, and this is just showing your cohort change from kindergarten. So basically the green bar is showing you your current October enrollment at each grade level, and the blue line is representing what that grade was when they were in kindergarten. So this chart actually shows me two separate things here. It's showing, one, that you are graduating larger classes in the 8th grade than are coming in as kindergarten, but it's also showing me that through the grade levels, you actually have an increase in students, especially at your 6th, 7th, and 8th, which means there's more students at those grade levels than when they were in kindergarten. A lot of times that represents a move-in district, or it could, where people are moving in because it might be too expensive to start for a starter family. But it can also represent the fact that there could be some charters or some private schools, because we really notice that change at the 6th, 7th, and 8th at the middle school level. And I think at our last meeting, we didn't talk too much about new housing information, but I know that's a pretty hot topic, and I just kind of want to go over that briefly. So we have identified several planned, and as I read in the paper at the coffee shop today, it looks like they were approved last night, housing developments in the school boundary, specifically in the Lomita Park attendance boundary. So I just kind of wanted to show you a map of where those are located, and we wanted to go over, we estimated there's approximately 1,200 units in these 4 proposed or planned projects that we know of today. And I like to keep in mind that new housing units are always a moving target. And so what we're looking at today may not be what happens tomorrow or a year from now or 2 years from now, so it's always good to keep a close eye on what's developing down the road. But right now we are projecting that we will start seeing occupied units within the next 3 years, or 2021, and slowly increase that up to about 963 in 6-year projection. Again, that's something that we'll just have to keep an eye on and track as the projects start to build and move forward. So this is kind of an interesting chart here, because when we were here back in, I think it was January, we showed you this chart on the right, which is the 10-year enrollment history and 6-year enrollment projection. And that was without any new housing information. At that time, we were still working with the city, and we were trying to get some more information. The chart on the left is showing what your projections potentially will look like with the new housing development that is coming online. So we were showing a relatively stable, slight growth of enrollment without any new housing developments, and we're showing a significant growth in the next 6 years. And I will say this as well, the average yield rate for the students that are generated from new housing developments in the state is, I think, about approximately 0.5, and you're significantly lower than that. You are at 0.2, I believe, or somewhere right around there. So we are taking that into account when we're looking at these numbers. And I have another kind of side-by-side comparison chart here. This is your utilization chart on page 6. So we've taken your calculation looking at the number of classrooms or teaching stations at each of your sites, and we multiplied that by the loading standards. And I believe we were loading at 24 to 1 at the lower grades and 30 to 1 at the higher grades. Now, I understand not all classes come in perfect sizes of 24 and 30, but that gives us a good general way of being able to start calculating out your capacities. So we're looking at your current capacity, and then we're taking a look at your current enrollment and your projected 6-year enrollment. And keep in mind, this is without any new housing information. We are showing you're currently very full at all of your elementary schools. Anytime you see an elementary school that has a current utilization over 85%, there's not a lot of room there for additional growth. And I know special programs are very is something that your district is very interested in, and there's not a lot of room to add any new programs when we're running at such a high capacity or high utilization at each of your elementary sites. This is the same chart, but it's adding in the potential impact of new housing. And so it's showing, even without the housing, we were running at a very high utilization. With the potential that the new housing could bring, we're showing your utilizations are running over 100 to 95, 91 at Meadows and Green Hills. So you have two situations. You're already relatively impacted at your elementary sites right now. And even without development, we're still busting at the seams, if you will, at your elementary sites. The potential for development, and that's something we will want to keep an eye on, could impact that even more as we go into the future. And this is just a map that's illustrating the school sites that are most impacted, and that would obviously be Lomita Park and Spring Valley, but Green Hills and Meadows are also impacted in your 6-year projection. So just kind of give you a brief description of some of the other information we collected that's going into this master plan. We took a facilities inventory. As Rick said, I got the privilege of walking through and climbing through some of the rafters trying to find the blueprints to all your school sites. And I found all of them. I had a little problem with Lomita Park. As you'll see, the drawing here looks a little funny. So I have a drawing for each of your school sites. The white are showing the buildings that are your permanent buildings, and the blue are showing your portables. And then if you move on to the next page, on page 10 for Green Hills, we're able to do a facilities inventory calculation. And that helps us when we start looking at what are you potentially available to collect from the state in the modernization program. And that's a 60-40 program, meaning the state will pay 60%, the district has to come up with the other 40%. So just to kind of give you a little lesson on how to read these charts, to have them for each school, we've basically broken it down by the building name, when it was originally built, and if it's been modernized. The LPP is the state building program prior to 1998. The new program started in 1998, and that's what we're currently using today. Building type, 1 is permanent, 2 is portable. And then we are calculating if it's eligible for modernization today. So any permanent building that's over 25 years is eligible. Any permanent that's over 20 years is also eligible. So on each of these charts for these schools, the inventory, I've kind of highlighted what the estimated modernization funding from the state for each of your school sites will be. Here's the Lomita Park probably one of the more interesting schools that I've attempted to draw on, and I can't honestly say I'm very proud of this one, but so it was a challenge. So again, you can kind of get an overview of the site for Lomita Park and the facilities inventory and the modernization calculation on the bottom right-hand corner. And I'll go through these a little bit quickly. Here's Meadows. Again, the permanent portable layout on the campus. And this is one of the few, now I should go back and say, this doesn't mean that your other sites have not been modernized at some point. I believe the district has used bond money in the past. I think for Lomita Park, there was some work done. But Meadows did actually have some modernization funds used back in 2000. So they're currently not eligible for much right now, but they will be eligible more as some of the bill as once we get past the 20-25 year mark. And here's your site diagram for Spring Valley and your facility inventory with your modernization calculation. And finally, we have Taylor Middle School on page 17. And on page 18, we're showing we have about $4.2 million in estimated modernization money. And Mike's going to go into that in more detail here in just a minute. In fact, he's up right now. So I'm going to pass this on to my colleague, Mike Cannon.
I'm Mike Cannon, and I get to talk about the fun stuff, money. Okay, a couple of things real quick like here. The first question being, how do I advance this?
The arrow keys.
The what?
Arrow.
Arrow. Right there. That one. Okay, got it. As you can tell, I'm a mechanical engineer, not an electrical engineer. Anyway, as Brett had pointed out to you, for each of the school sites, they have a allowance for modernization, which attaches to that particular campus for the state bond program. Can only be used on that campus for modernization. However, if you take a look, and this is sort of the aggregate of all those numbers that you saw for each of the sites, basically what that tells you is you have about $16 million available in modernization funding throughout the district. Of that, $9.5 million is state bond funding. The balance would have to be a match by the district out of whatever resources you have. Okay? So I want to make that clear when we go to the next page. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Okay. This is what we've identified to date as potential available revenues and resources for your facilities program. You have about $11 million right now in a capital facilities reserve. Over the next 6 years, we estimate that you will probably take in about $2.2 million in developer fees. Okay? You're eligible for a little bit over $9.5 million in state modernization funding. About another $3.8 million in state new construction money. And that is calculated on the basis of the increase in your student population district-wide. That funding, new construction money, is available to any place in the district. It's not tied to a specific locality. So even though you may have growth in one attendance area, you can use that money any place in the district if you should so choose. And we've taken a look at some of the information derived particularly from the refinance of your bond last year, when your bond counsel did some calculations on, among other things, what your current available revenue for another potential bond was as of September last year based on your assessed valuation at that time. Okay? And he came up with a number of approximately $79 million that you could have available if you choose to do a new district bond. Okay? So, please keep that in mind. Now comes the fun part. Okay. Nope, I hit the wrong button again. I know, take me west. Okay, yeah, okay. No, this is not payback. Anyway, okay. as we mentioned earlier, we've gone through and done a review of the facilities. This is a summary page, and I'll go through for each of the sites briefly and tell you some of the stuff that we found on this. But basically, this covers site review costs. Okay, and by that, what we mean is taking a look at your site, determining which items at each of the sites either need to be fixed or minimally upgraded to meet current code, or need in some other fashion to deal with health and safety issues. Okay? Comes up to a total of just under $78 million, including as you can see, the Lomita Park number. Okay? So, let's walk through a little bit on what some of these things are. Okay, and you do not have these numbers, so let me sort of walk you through them real quick like. Okay? Green Hills Elementary. What we're proposing to do is change out your existing 2.5-inch water supply line. That is original to that school. You have basically no water pressure left up there. Okay? Among other things. Replace all the playground paving. Replace the HVAC units in the multi-purpose building, which is basically non-functional at this point. Upgrade the site lighting. Put in some security cameras. And do some ADA upgrades, throughout the site. Doors and things like that. Okay? The total cost for that site, including all the engineering and design costs, all the construction management costs, all the general contractors' overhead and profits, and a 15% bump for Bay Area construction costs in 2018 dollars is $5 million and change for that one site. That's for this year. Given what the cost of construction is statewide and what it is in the Bay Area, I can guarantee you it will be more than that next year. And we can sit and have a discussion as to whether or not it'll bump 6%, 10%, 12%, or what. What we do know is it will go up. Okay? Lomita Park. This is going to be the fun one. We took a long look at Lomita Park. A very long look at Lomita Park. And it's a good thing that we have a principal here, so I could probably talk to you on this one.
Two of them.
Two. Oh, even better. Okay. Yeah. No, no. You've got my back. Okay. Okay. Interesting thing about Lomita Park is I've seen that design before. That's basically a 1970s design put together to be used in a particular teaching method. Once you don't teach that way anymore, it's really difficult to adapt it to anything else. I've seen one adaptation that sort of kind of worked, and that was 15 years ago down in San Jose Unified. And San Jose finally decided to just take the whole building down and do something else with it. The problem with Lomita Park is you can't really do anything to the main building complex. There's nothing you can do to reconfigure it internally any more than what you have. You can't add on to it or do anything else like that. What you've done is you put some portables out on the side, which is about the best thing you can do. Okay? What we thought would probably be something worth looking at is building a new Lomita Park. Okay? Do what a number of other districts have done. Keep the school running, build the new school on the playgrounds, and then take down the old school and put your playgrounds where the old school was. Okay? Couple of things to do that. Okay. Okay, I don't see too many teeth, so that's a good thing so far. Okay. Couple of ideas we had. That is a small site. You cannot make it any bigger. One thing we took a look at doing is rather than doing single story, for part of it doing 2-story. Keep the kinders, ground floor. You have to do that anyway. Keep the admin building and library and labs, ground floor. Do 2-story, put your smaller kids, obviously, on the ground floor, and put your 4th and 5th graders up on the 2nd floor, and do it that way, okay? The other thing we looked at doing was, rather than doing standard stick construction, is do modular construction. The virtue of that is, first of all, particularly in the Bay Area, it's cheaper than stick built, but secondly, it is much faster. If you built a new school from scratch, stick built, that would be about 12 months. If you do it modular, you can do it in, I won't say, I can't say I'll guarantee you half of 6 months, but you can certainly do it in 8. So you actually could start when the kids get out in June and be done before the end of the next school year. Okay? So we took a look at doing that and how much that would cost. And that would include 22 classrooms, standard classrooms, 4 kinder classrooms, a 5,000 square foot multi-purpose building, which is considerably larger than what you have now, and probably around 4,500 square feet of office, library, bathrooms, and so on and so forth. That would accommodate all of the existing student population within the boundaries of Lomita Park. It would accommodate the kids you've transferred uphill to Spring Valley, because I think right now our count is there's 36 elementary students in that block. So it would accommodate those. It would also accommodate all of the additional K-5 enrollment that we anticipate coming from the development down in that area. Okay? So that way you could deal with all of that down in that section, and then also work to do program and other improvements uphill at your other elementaries. Okay? Because I don't know, somebody want to kick me now before I say something? Okay. Because we think that if you don't do that, you're going to have to figure out how to accommodate your growth, not just the ongoing changes in your demographics in the single family housing stock, but what we have downhill, the new development, you're going to have to accommodate that someplace. And if you don't accommodate it at Lomita Park, you'll end up having to do boundary changes and do other things or do something else. Okay? So we think it's, at least from a cost perspective and a facilities perspective, we think it's probably more practical to do it that way than try and add 3 or 4 portables here or something over there. We took a look at adding another wing, for example, to Spring Valley and see what that would do. You could do that. The problem is you're already overcrowded at Spring Valley. If you add more classrooms and more kids there, you already are grossly overcrowded as far as the number of kids you have versus your support spaces, your multi-purpose building, your bathrooms, all of those things, okay? You don't have enough bathrooms for the kids you have now. How many lunch periods do you run at Spring Valley? 3, 4? 3? Okay, yeah. Put more kids in there, you're going to run 4. You might end up running 5. Not good. So anyway, we are trying to avoid pushing the problems elsewhere if we possibly can. So anyway, so that's Lomita Park. Meadows Elementary. We want to take out all of your water supply valves. Your water lines, basically, the piping is okay. It'll last a little bit longer. But your supply, all your valves in the undergrounds are basically frozen. They need to come out so you can turn your water on and off. You need to clean out the storm drain system. It's basically settled and filled over the years. You need to replace your kinder play surface. It doesn't meet ADA code of any sort anymore, and it's sort of cracked. Upgrade your HVAC systems, basically throughout the campus. You need to upgrade your electrical panels, your supply panels at a couple of your wings over there. You need to replace the flooring in your library and admin. You need to upgrade the site lighting and your fire alarm systems. You've got a fire alarm system patched together out of 3 different systems, I think it is? And they're right on the point of not talking to each other at all. So you may end up, keeps going like that, it's not going to be good. And then some allowance for security cameras, fencing, and some additional ADA. With all of the other support costs and the, the contingencies, about $7.4 million. Spring Valley. We want to replace all your water lines at Spring Valley. Okay? There's a theme here. Most of your underground utilities are original to the schools when they were built. They've never been changed. They've never been upgraded. Okay? So what you've got old water lines, you've got old electrical conduit, and you've been adding on to your schools incrementally over the years. So your water pressure drops and just things get unreliable. I'll do this as sort of as a sidebar. I want to tell you that I have worked with a lot of school districts, and I spent 6 years as an assistant superintendent for facilities in a major suburban school district here in California. You have a maintenance staff that is incredible. Those guys have done more with very little than just about anybody else I have ever seen. I mean, those guys, I'll say, they pretty much perform miracles. Okay? So I just want you to know that. Seriously, I don't even want to tell you how much money they've saved you by managing to keep things running when they shouldn't be running anymore. Okay? And I'll give you as an example, the HVAC system at Taylor. I said there, that was my specialty. It was HVAC and boiler systems. I look at that and I'm going, how do you guys even keep this thing running? They said, well, we just work on it. Okay. Why didn't I have you guys working for me? Anyway, at Spring Valley, we want to change out the water lines. We want to change out the sewer lines. We want to refloor all the classrooms, replace the fire alarm system, upgrade the lighting, upgrade all of the other low voltage systems, and put in, as I said, put in some security fencing and some cameras. Everything on that site, $5.75 million. Okay. Taylor Middle. That one, we'd like to redo the HVAC at the Shea Center. I'd like to replace your HVAC pumps at the main building. Those are the ones that I still can't understand why they're running at all. But the guys managed to do it, but they're telling me we don't know what else we can do for it. They're starting to make weird sounds, so that's never a good sign. Like to redo the parking and drop-off area up on Minorca. Like to treat and reseal the north gym wall, the one that's got all the nice little, she's there shaking it, shaking her head, to get that taken care of. Do fencing, site lighting, and security cameras, because you've got some perimeter issues because you've got kids coming in from a couple of different directions in there, which is not a bad thing, but you want to make sure that you have some defined perimeters and you can keep an eye on those. Okay? All of that, about $8 million. Okay? So, as I said, the whole thing in total comes to about $78 million. Nope. There we go. Okay. Here's the other little thing we came up with. Brett told you that you're basically full at your elementaries now. Okay? What you've done when you want to do program improvements or things like that is you've tried, for example, to put art classes in a standard 960 square foot classroom, or music, or a science lab, or something like that. You can do it, but it really doesn't work too well. Okay? And I think your principals and she's okay. She's nodding. She's happy again. Okay. It doesn't work that well with small spaces. The other thing it does is it takes your standard classroom out of commission. Now you can't do a standard class in there. So one of the things we thought of is you have those programs in standard classrooms throughout the district. Take them out of the standard classrooms, put them in some specialized space, something larger, with all of the appropriate electrical and water and other connections, so that you can do that and take those classrooms back as classrooms. What that will do is that will take care of your increasing enrollment over time as your demographics in your single-family dwellings change. Because what you're seeing right now with your increase, even without the development, as Brett pointed out, is you still have an increase. The reason you have an increase is you have a very large number of single-family units in this city that I suspect are still being occupied by the people who moved in 20 or 30 years ago, had their children went to school in this district, their children moved away. They're now at or close to retirement, and they still have their house. One of the things we found was when we were looking at the records from the refinance last fall, you have, 1,300 housing units, in single-family housing units in the district, valued at assessed value of less than $200,000. What that tells me is those are people that bought when it was reasonably priced here and are holding on to those. You've got another 800 that are valued between $200,000 and $400,000. Okay? Those are going to come on the market over the next several years. That is going to give you, because most of those I would bet don't generate kids now. Yeah. When they get resold, you're going to have families with kids moving into them. So you'll be going from zero to something more. That will be your increase even without development. And that'll be spread throughout the district. So one thing you can do to work on that is you can go ahead and look at taking back the 960 square foot classrooms that you're using for your special programs, build specialized space for specialized programs, and do it that way. We took a look at doing self-contained modular buildings. Pardon me. This is based on a particular cost model. It's called an AMS Gen 7. But you can do one of those. You can get either 2 or 3 classrooms out of 2,800 square feet. And those are, you know, if you do the math, they're larger than a standard classroom for about $3.3 million, 2018 costs. You have enough space to put one of these on each of your elementary schools. Okay, what that will do is that will give you space to do makers labs or music programs or arts programs or whatever your program says you want to do. So that'll give you some capacity at all of your other elementary schools. Okay. Next steps. Okay. Couple of things. As I said, this is our draft presentation to you. We would look for some reaction from you on this. If, aside from throwing things at me, if you think that you would like to take a further look at the idea of redoing Lomita Park, I would suggest that one thing you might want to consider doing is this. I've talked to the gentleman over at the Department of Education's Facilities Planning Division, who has responsibility for this county. He's familiar with Lomita Park. He suggested that you might want to take a look at doing some very preliminary studies. If you do anything either for reconstruction, either in part or in whole on that site, there are a couple of things you need to do. You need some certifications on site work for a couple of things. Since it's next to a railroad track, you would need a railroad study. Since it's down in the Bay Area and we don't know where the pipelines run here, you would certainly need a pipeline study just to find out where your transmission pipelines are, where they run, because there are state regulations on either modernizing or building new within a certain distance of certain size pipelines. So it'd be good to know where those pipelines are and do a couple of other things. And then you have the interesting, I don't quite know what to say, but you have the interesting situation of being immediately adjacent to an international airport. The one good thing is almost all of your schools are not under any flight paths, okay? When I talked to John, he knew that. So he said, but you still have to do the study to show that it's not, okay? So a couple of those things. And I will tell you that even if you don't do anything to Lomita Park and you want to modernize some of the other sites, you're still going to have to at least the pipeline study and the airline study, because that affects everything in this district. And it's probably something you would want to know yourself. So, as I said, if you want to think about doing that, then we could probably have a conversation with Rick about how we go about doing that, bringing that report back to you. So, we are now open for questions. What up, Brett? Come on.
I'll go second.
Well, a lot of information. I have a lot of questions, but
Okay.
you didn't mention anything, or maybe I missed it, the multi-use rooms at school sites. What would you do with those?
At which school site?
Well, let's say Spring Valley.
What would I do with it?
Yeah.
The first thing I would do, to be quite honest, is if you can stabilize or you can drop the population, that will probably make things a little bit easier over at that site. If you want to take down and rebuild a multi-purpose building, one of the things that I should let you know is the state grant money applies to classrooms. Okay? Yeah, for modernization, it applies to classrooms. You could take state modernization money, but you would have to tell the state that, yes, we're going to modernize X number of classrooms. Then we'll give you this much money. If you then take that money and redo or tear down and put your new multi-purpose building in, the auditors in 3 years are going to catch you. So they're going to come back and say, okay, can you show us the plans that show your classroom? Oh, no classroom. Sorry about that. You owe us $2.3 million with interest.
Oh, wow.
So you would have to pay for that out of pocket, okay? I will also tell you that given where your multi-purpose buildings are, several of the sites, it would be difficult to do things, to tear them down or add on to them. You can take a look at doing that, but that's almost more of a design issue rather than a space use issue. What you could do is you can look at doing things that you now do in there and putting them someplace else, like specialized spaces or some of the other things like that. Okay?
Quickly, just give me an idea of, you talk about Lomita Park doing a two-story.
Right.
Now, would you push it back in the grass area and the portables? Would the building go this way, or do you have an idea, or we're just
asking an engineer to
you're talking
design
design?
something, that's getting dangerous.
So we haven't designed. We're just
Okay.
So,
but
in my head, I'm trying to figure out how do you fit all that, and then parking
if
lot.
I was going to do this, just given what I know of the requirements from the Department of Education for distance from things like rail tracks and things like that,
Yeah.
I would probably put the admin building back in what would be the southeast corner of the complex. I would put the classrooms in the southwest corner. Okay, so tell you what, let's see. Okay. Okay. I wish I had a pointer. Okay.
Yeah.
Where the baseball diamond is now, put the admin building back there, put the classrooms down basically in an L where the portables are now and where the basketball court is, and do it that way. Yeah. Far as you can from the railroad tracks. And how you would lay out the parking and the traffic for that, I will defer to the architects and to the traffic engineers. I have an idea, but I don't even want to quote for that one. As I said, never ask an engineer to design something. It'll be efficient, but may not be pretty. So.
And also, that would change, because I know Lomita Park is, one street is in San Bruno, and the other
Yes.
street is in,
Yes.
the Millbrae, so we could technically change that configuration by putting, the main building over
If
there.
you
That
decided
makes,
you wanted to move forward with this, I would think a very practical thing to do would be to get a traffic engineer out to take a look at this, somebody who specializes in schools, okay? We know several of them, but yeah, they would pick up all of that. They would probably want to do traffic surveys for everything up as far as El Camino and probably half mile on either side just to see how the traffic flows. And we've gone out and I particularly went out to Lomita Park and stood on a corner for, I think, 2 days, watching the traffic flow morning and afternoon. It was, you run an amazing operation, I have to tell you. You were just getting all those kids in and out. So, yeah, yeah, you would want to do that as well. But I think it's doable. I really do. So.
What do you consider the most critical out of everything that you've seen? Do you think the pipes, the water lines and everything, what's critical?
For the modernization on the existing sites, setting aside Lomita Park, your water, your wastewater, and your fire alarm systems. And not necessarily in that order. I'd say probably your water systems, your fire alarm systems, and your wastewater systems. And after that, some electrical upgrades. Okay, the stuff that basically nobody else outside of maintenance and the folks that have to deal with that kind of stuff have really had to deal with. I know that there have been, when you did the community survey, there were a couple of comments about the fire alarm systems, but I don't think anybody commented on the water systems at all. And yeah, as Rick said, we literally climbed into the working spaces and took a look at them. So I tried moving a couple of those valves with a 3-pound short-handled sledge, and I couldn't do it. So yeah, they just will not close. So if you ever have an earthquake, and this is earthquake country, it could get interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know whether the other school that we have, Glen Oaks, did you take a look at Glen Oaks at all? Okay, so what I'm thinking, or my question to you is, would it be more advantageous to tear down Glen Oaks and rebuild that rather than Lomita?
One of the main issues with Glen Oaks is literally there's one way in and there's one way out.
Okay.
And it's very narrow. I don't know that you could build that to current code.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, we took a look at that and I've gone, it might be useful for, something you could tear down. I don't know, maybe put the district offices up there or something like that. But I don't think you could put a school up there. I don't know how you could design one that would meet the requirements of the Department of Education and be fundable.
Okay. My other question is, you mentioned the modulars, they're the portables that are.
No, modulars.
They're modulars. Yes. Okay. That would free up classrooms, right? So if we put one on each campus, which is really pretty cost effective rather than some of the modernizations we're talking about, how many classrooms would we free up and how many students would we be able to handle doing it that way?
Okay. If you put a 2,800 square foot modular on each, not counting Lomita Park, on each of the 3 remaining sites, you could get a minimum of 2 oversized classrooms, about 1,400 square foot classrooms out of that. You probably would free at least 2 and possibly 3 classrooms per site for that, which I think would take care of what we anticipate your rising tide in the single family dwellings for about the next, 6 years or so, 6 to 8 years. Okay. And you do have space for that on each of your sites.
Right.
Much more than that, though. Most of your sites were built up straight to the street. They're typical construction for their time. Okay, which is also why I know you have traffic problems. You notice that there are no traffic recommendations in here because we couldn't figure out how to basically do, say, cutouts, for pull-ups and things like that. You're just too close to the street. All of the sites are like that. They're just too close to the street. They were all designed to be walking schools, and people don't walk anymore. So, or at least not enough of them walk.
And with the new, the TOD1 and TOD2 that's happening, it looks like, the major growth is going to be on the east side where Lomita Park is, other than Spring Valley. And then you're looking at a huge traffic issue for Spring Valley to bring those kids this way rather than so. No, I wanted to, I've always been a proponent of tearing down Lamita Park and building it up, because you build it, they will come. It's not been our most sought after school, although it's a gem. It's an excellent school. But I think with a new building, state of the art, 2-level built towards the neighborhood rather than by the tracks, that's a win-win.
And I'd also just like to, you actually in this district have 2 different issues, I believe, and Brett, who's the demographics expert, can correct me if I'm wrong. You have 2 different issues on your demographics here. You have development, and I think I mentioned when we met with the advisory committee that it doesn't matter if these developers build it or in 5 years another set of developers build it. You're going to get development down there. That's just, it's what's going to happen. But you have that, which is not the proximate cause really of all the rest of this. You also have the rise throughout the district as your non-child occupied single family dwellings turn over and you start getting families moving back into them. So you get your 30-year cycle running again. You're right at the beginning of your 30-year cycle. So you're going to get more families moving into the district. They're going to have kids. That's going to impact all of your elementary schools as well. And then you have the last available commercial space that's going to development on top of that. There's not an issue of this development driving everything. You've got other issues in this district, and you have to deal with all of them, one way or the other.
And trustees too, there's a third leg of that stool too, is our aging infrastructure.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest cost drivers of all this too. It's even if our enrollment was flat for the next 15 years out, we still have incredible needs to support the facilities.
Yes.
The stuff that you can't see.
Yeah. Even if you didn't do anything to Lamita Park, if you didn't take it down and rebuild it, you would still have $35 or $40 million worth of infrastructure, because that's basically all that's on this list. As you noticed, as Trustee Barbaro said, it's plumbing, it's wastewater, it's fire alarm systems, it's old electrical, it's all of those things that are original to the campuses that have held up very well and been maintained as well as they can. They're all beyond their life. You need to do something about it. You really do. Okay?
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
We have a question from the audience?
No. Oh, and we have one other thing after this gentleman. So.
Okay.
My name's Vince Musi, and I'm the developer of Site 1. And the reason I wanted to talk to you today with the survey that you've had done, I looked it over. Back March 26th, I presented to the city council, an analysis that I got involved in looking at what is the density and demographic in high-rise buildings for children attending elementary school. And I really suggest that I've given the letter that I wrote to the city, copies for you to look at, and I ask that your consultants look at it. I started this because when the numbers came down that we were going to produce 300 elementary school children, I didn't believe it. You have to look at the type of building, where we are, the surroundings of the building. We have no park, no outdoor area really for children to be at. It's high rise. It's very urban. It's in a suburban area, but the design is urban. So what I did is I looked on the internet, and what studies have there been done regarding elementary school students in high-rise buildings. And there have been studies done in Virginia, studies done in Colorado, and they indicated quite a difference from the normal profile of a single-family home, as you might, if you think about it, expect. It's also different for garden apartments. It's It's different for duplexes, but it's very different for high-rise. I believe I called your consultant here. I was given his name, and he wasn't really able to assist me directly, but he pointed me to two ladies in the East Bay who did a study for the city of San Francisco and was completed in February 2018. In that study, there's an appendix where they looked at 20 different high-rise buildings in San Francisco, located not just in the core of downtown, but out in the avenues, out by San Francisco State, the Park Merced buildings. What they found is that the number of children in those buildings, elementaries, they did, elementary, kindergarten, all the way through, broke it down, and it's beautifully laid out, and it's very accessible on the internet. And it was 0.05 children per unit. That works out on my 444 units at 24 children per year in any 1 year, not 300. And if you think about it very carefully, and in the last 3 weeks, we've been going around because at this point in our project, we're looking at finishes, interiors, what to do, what to offer the community. So I've gone to Redwood City, to the high-rise on, I assume you've seen, the Indigo project is 444 units. We asked how many students do you have in here? 10 to 12, 444 units. Today I went to 201 Marshall, 8. They said 8 students, but in all grades. At the hearing on March 27th, I'd been trying to get through the district the number of elementary school students in the Bellamore project. The Bellamore project is 220 units, Millbrae. It's where the old Millbrae Theater parking lot was, okay? I had not been able to get that number.
Mr. Musi, I don't want to interrupt you, but public comment is limited to 3 minutes. So
only this and one more comment. Okay. The number is out of that 221 units, a gentleman got up and says we have 8 students in our entire building. So what I'm trying to say here is this number of 300 students coming out of just my project, there's something wrong with it. It doesn't smell right, doesn't taste right, and from what I've been able to see scientifically, it's not supported. So I caution you to understand that. The last thing I want to tell you is I just ran the number on Lomita Park, and believe me, Lomita Park is a school that I think the school boards in Millbrae have been talking about redoing Lomita Park since 1982 when I bought Chadbourne, okay? And it needs to be redone, no question about it. But when you look at the cost, it's 31,000 square feet and it's $50 million. That cost is $1,600 per square foot. Terrible price for a school building, because a school building is not a building in Hillsborough. The finishes are nothing. Right. And it's Oshpod. And I don't understand why school districts have not banded together and told the state, get Oshpod out of here. You don't need it.
Understood. So thanks for your comments. Okay. You have a closer? Okay.
One other item. Wanted to just ask the board if you have any direction for us, or what next steps would you like us to pursue? As I said, if the board is interested in looking at a rebuild of Lomita Park, I'm
going to turn that question over to our CBO.
There you go.
Trustees, I'll take all your questions offline, and as we go through the next couple of weeks, and I'll direct them back to SchoolWorks for further direction.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. We are now at communications to the board. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda may complete speakers' cards and submit them to the board secretary. Speakers addressing specific items on the agenda will have opportunity to address the board at the time of the agenda item in the meeting. If you are addressing the board on a non-agenda item, please be aware that the provisions of the Brown Act prohibit the board from acting or discussing such matters at this meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic. Calling upon the MEA, seeing no one. CSEA, seeing no one. MEF, seeing no one. Members of the community, seeing no one. Except ourselves, of course. And we can move now to trustee communication. So, Lynn, would you like to start that?
Just another shout out to Lomita Park for a wonderful presentation, and just wanted a couple of things. This last week, actually last night, I did the phone banks for Measure N. And it was really, I was so impressed by the folks that I spoke to that were so supportive and positive with our schools and doing the best they can to support us. So I just want to thank the community out there, if you're watching, for being so positive with us as we venture. I'll be doing another one next week and the weeks to come, and hopefully we can get the word out that Measure N is the way to go here. Also, Lomita Park is having their RIF Day next week. It's called Reading is Fundamental, and it's Lomita Park is the only school in Millbrae that has this program. It's a whole day of students coming into the library area, and they're able to pick out a book and take it home for free. So the books they pick out, they come in and have a little shtick that I give to each grade level, each classroom, and it's a really fun day. So I'm looking forward to RIF. RAD is the next day, another thing that I think is pretty particular to Lomita Park. It's called RAD for Read All Day, and they invite, I don't know whether our admin team at the district office will be there. They'll probably be reading to students. It's another really fun day. So looking forward to that at Lomita Park. Thank you.
Excellent. Frank.
Well, I have a lot to say. Can I buy 3 minutes off of you, Maggie?
You can have all this one.
Thanks. That was a great presentation by Lomita Park. I love the fact that they're empowering the students. You know, they're letting them get more involved in their learning, and I really like that concept. You know, really, it lets the kids excel in different things other than just academics, but it helps them academically. So that's a great thing that they're doing there. Great presentation. I don't know if I should talk about CPR or not, but our idea.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're thinking about this idea. I had this idea, and I talked to Dennis about it, and Dennis coined it and phrased it CPR Saturday. And we're looking at the Carolyn Shea Center. We're looking at maybe something in the fall, which the calendar could be looked at and so forth. We're looking at a town community thing where everybody's invited. We have the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, possibly serving breakfast. The class is quick. We would have Red Cross there. We'd have the fire department there. All the groups. I think the Lions and Rotary would be really excited to do a project together. Yeah. It's free. And it's interesting, and I'll make it brief, but School Site Council, Maggie and I are on at Mills High School. Yesterday we had a meeting, and we had 2 PE teachers come in and do a real quick presentation on CPR because they were asking for the committee to give them $4,000 to buy more mannequins for their PE project, their PE program rather. where they have 15 mannequins. Is that right, 15? And they wanted to buy 4 more. And they were showing these mannequins like that are electronic. And so when you're compressing the chest, if you're doing it wrong, it lights up yellow.
Yes, it has like lights that go up and it goes to the brain and it shows the blood flow.
And then it says, hey.
Yeah. And if you're in it, right?
But it was real quick, but it was really educational. I mean, they were showing how they work, and if you're doing it right, the blood lines go red, so you see that it's red blood going into your brain and heart, and so it was just a really great thing to learn.
Yeah.
And then, so I went online and I checked the Red Cross, and they do it all free. So I think we're on a right track. I've talked to the fire department. They're really excited. They want to get involved with the schools.
Yeah, if I could just
Yeah.
jump in. And we also in Millbrae have an organization that does, so we have many resources. The Peninsula Healthcare District provides defibrillators through an agency. So all the pieces are in place for a terrific program. The issue has always been time. That, to be certified, you have to spend, I think it's 6 or 8 hours at a session. And a lot of people are unwilling to do that. They have a shorter version, I think, of a couple hours that gives you the basics. So our idea was kind of to try to marshal all of those resources together in one place on CPR Saturday and have people come. If you want to do the whole 8 hours, that would be available. If you want to do a shorter period, if you just want to learn how to operate that defibrillator, which is now everywhere, I see them in churches and everywhere else. So in other words, there could be there could be different levels of training. It could be for the kids, it could be for teachers, it could be for parents, and the reward would be either certification or at least more knowledge and some kind of a great meal prepared by the Lions in their big truck, the van. So that was kind of the idea we were talking about, I think, at coffee. So maybe that's sort of a future agenda item, or we'll figure out who would like to work on that and.
So I'll definitely put the time in.
Yeah.
Could that be hooked up with what you do for the teachers for their CPR or whatever they do every, 2 to 4 years? It could be hooked up with that as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, they actually have an online program right now. You could take the test online. You watch a video, you take the test. It's free. But it's $17 for certification, and they just put it on. It's brand new. You could do it online.
Or you can go to Mills High School. The teachers would love to.
Yeah.
They can certify you. They can work.
So that's what's great about it. There's many different. I don't know of a program that has so many access points and so many resources, but they're kind of scattered. So if we could take the lead and just create an event where the entire community could take place. And we could use our own Millbrae folks. We can use the fire department. We can use Red Cross. I think it's just something that has a lot of potential.
Let's talk about.
Whatever gave you that idea, Frank?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, Frank's been very much
But
an advocate.
I got to tell you, I am on a mission.
Yeah, oh, I know.
When I get on a mission,
Look out. So thanks, Frank. So we'll be talking more about that, maybe future agenda.
Deal with parcel taxes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Maggie.
One thing at a time.
My turn. All right. Well, I can't believe last week was spring break. Oh my gosh, it feels like it was a long time ago. Can't believe we only have like 6 weeks left of school, right? Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I am. I am counting. It's that time of the year where I'm counting the days till summer. So, anyway, I don't know. I just want to take the time and say, I give a shout out to all of our volunteers that are working really hard behind the scenes running the parcel tax. And I do want to give a big shout out to Karen Chin-Zanovich, who is going above and beyond running this whole thing. She's working her off. Anyway, so I just want to make sure we're doing the phone banks 4 nights a week the next month, and then on April 21st, we're going to start walking the streets. So if anybody, we have over 100 volunteers working hard at this, and if anybody out there wants to help, you can go on our website, millbraesos.org, right? Anyway, just one more thing. Our own Lion Steve Henderson, actually took over the Lions baseball. So he's our new commissioner, which is really exciting because he's changing the whole program, adding new things. And actually, for the first time ever, this Saturday, we're having our opening day on Taylor Field at 11:30. We're going to have a ceremony. We're going to have pictures. We're going to have food and all that stuff to kick off our the season. Yeah, so if you guys are around, come by and check it out. Yeah.
Our grandson Gio is going to participate in that, so we'll be fans.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
He just learned that when you run down to first base, you don't jump over the bag. You touch it. He couldn't understand that. So.
Or when they go to third base instead of first. Yeah.
That's going to be a great event.
What time does it start?
It starts at 11 or 11:30. Yeah. So hope to see you there.
And I'll just add, Lomita Park was fantastic tonight, and I don't want to steal Vaughn's thunder, but I did look through his superintendent report, and I just wanted to mention that we were part of the Rotary Awards for our Student of the Year, which we do annually, and it's a great event because the sponsoring teacher, the principal, the student, and the families are all invited to lunch. And so it's a great chance for people to meet one another and just talk about the high quality of education. And it's just a fun thing to go to. And the food's usually pretty good, too. So I'll let Vaughn tell you the rest of it. But I think that's all I have tonight.
Beep, time's up.
Okay, who's got the timer? So Vaughn.
All right, good evening, trustees. Certainly some special events that happened tonight, so I want to give a shout out to all those folks who came to support, and all those folks who were in the audience from the Central Fire Department that we did not honor, but they were in the audience. We want to thank you for their support in being here. In regards to my presentation tonight, it's really short. Trustee Fema, you kind of launched that for me, but I wanted to first and foremost give a shout out to the Rotary. I've had a chance to sit and be part of the partnership with not only our Student of the Year, but with our honoring of the Day of the Teacher, which is in May. And so we look forward to that as well. I keep remembering what Deirdre tells me 10 years ago, remember, service above self, and that rings in my mind often, and it rings in many of our students who have gone through this honor. But just to highlight the special students who received this award, I wanted to show this picture because we have a very nice looking trustee on here. But from Green Hills Elementary, we had Miss Yasmin Lopez Para. These are fifth grade students who were selected by not only the classroom teacher, but the fifth grade team. And I know that in working with our school sites, a lot of times we don't just go out to the fifth grade teachers, we go out to the entire school community because these students not necessarily present these skills at the fifth grade level, but I'm sure they were noticed at the kinder, first, second, third as they moved up. At Lomita Park, you might have seen him here, but he was right here, this hip hop dancer right here. Abraham, I'm going to do my best. Akfak Hari. Thank you, Trustee Musa. And this is from Lomita Park. You all might know Miss Bryce Yonamura from Meadows Elementary. Her mother is a very involved PTO parent from fifth grader from Meadows Elementary. We had Ethan Lee from Spring Valley School, And I said this at the luncheon, but it's really heartwarming when you see these little kindergartners become fifth graders. And this young man is super special because he went through some personal items that he persevered through, and that was discussed that day. And so this is really a special piece for me just because he was my little kinder, and now a Rotary Student of the Year in the 5th grade. So Ethan Lee, if you're out there, shout out to you. Annalise Leung at the middle school. I would say, Trustee Fema, you might support me in this one, but this was probably a memorable speech from the drama teacher. She did amazing. Not only did she do amazing, but she wrote a poem. She wrote a poem for the student, and so that was super special. But we want to congratulate all the students who received this award and honor. Alan Kurth did his thing in terms of remembering this particular honor and remembering to take this with you, because leadership is not about standing and directing people, but it's about leading and working with them. And so that was pretty special. Shout outs to all those students who received this award. My next piece is just a quick update on our homework committee. Sure.
Going back to that wonderful student, and the drama teacher did a great job. But she quoted something that Winston Churchill has said that the little girl had included in an essay, and it was that it takes courage to stand up and speak, but it also takes courage to sit down and listen, which I thought was just a tremendous thought for kids to have. So I held on to that as well.
Thank you for the reminder. In terms of our committee, we had a discussion today, Trustee Ferrario and I, with our kindergarten committee. I don't have enough information to give the board an update yet, but it turns a little sideways, but we're going to bring it right back, right, Trustee Ferrario? And when I get back to the committee to do a recap of the minutes, I think that it's going to give us direction for our last meeting in May. In terms of our homework committee, thank you, trustees, for those of you that provided feedback. We completed the Millbrae School District vision and purpose of homework. We are on to the responsibilities. It's highlighted in red. It's bolded in red. And for tonight's purpose, it's not here on the screen, but it is in your packet. In your packet, we have the work of our committee. There are 2 pages. This particular portion of the homework policy outlines the responsibilities. And it's in these different categories. We are expecting that there's responsibility at the superintendent or his designee level. We are expecting that there's a site administration level. We're expecting that there's a teacher level in terms of responsibility for the homework. And then there's also a piece for the parent and guardian. And lastly, we certainly have expectations for the student piece. And so please take a look at the outline from our committee work. If it's blue, it's proposed in terms of language that committee folks have brought to take a look at the board policy. If there's a strike, we wanted to delete that from our policy. And then if it's red, it's for us to further consider. And so we're currently working on the responsibilities portion of the homework policy. Trustees, if you have any feedback, please email that to me, and I'll bring that back to our committee, which meets again on April the 30th. The last portion of the homework policy is going to outline the guidelines, which I think that this is the most favorite part of our conversation, because a lot of people have different ideas about homework for Saturdays and Sundays, short-term projects, long-term projects, thematic units. And so after the responsibilities portion, we'll move on to the guidelines. Next, you thought we were done with big events, right? Well, save the date. This is our MEF Annual Walkathon 2018, and the committee has met. The committee happens to be some folks that you see in this room today. Our CVO, Rick Champion, happens to be on the committee. I'm on that committee. The president of the foundation and Karen Batuki is on that committee as well. The theme for this year, and we'll be using this theme as we message for the opening of 1819, is Together We Grow, Our Minds, Our Hearts, Our Future. It's slated for Sunday, May 20th, 2018, from 11 to 2 at the Shea Center. Certainly, we're looking for volunteers, more information to come. I don't know if you noticed this little image of a water bottle, but once again, I have received the awesome title of stocking the water stations. And so that's going to be my role that Sunday, which I believe I did a great job last year, but it happened to rain, so nobody went to those stations. But if you have any ideas of who or what organizations have large water coolers, my first task is to collect those water coolers. So with that said, one of the things that we are going to do this Monday is thank the Millbrae Education Foundation. Claire Beltrami, our Assistant Soup of Ed Services, will be sitting in my place. We will be providing the foundation with the letter on behalf of the school board and the school district, thanking them for their contributions to the Millbrae School District. This is a recap of the 2017-2018 school year. Millbrae Education Foundation granted us with $353,241, and it supported these programs. Now, we look forward to programs for 1819, and these are proposals that we are bringing to the board. The Millbrae Education Foundation voted on 2 priorities, and the 2 priorities were STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. As you can see, I included that in the horizontal part of my slide. And one of the items that we've been working on with our administration as well as our cabinet is to outline exactly what those programs mean. What do those programs entail, and how do we provide those services for our students? In terms of our continuation from the 17-18 school year, the Millbrae Education Foundation has exceeded the dollar amount for the continuation of the programs, and so you'll see in the black font the programs will continue. In the blue font are the proposed STEAM initiative. The other initiative, the social-emotional learning, we're going to move slow in order to move fast, and that means that we're going to do a program and curriculum review, form a committee, and have conversations with our district folks before we tackle that project. In terms of the STEAM, looking at the area of science for a district NGSS TOSA in regards to helping us carry out the work that we've been doing, the great work that we've been doing. We need to continue that. A STEAM elective, a possible STEAM elective is to be slated at the middle school level, possibly a .2, which is about $23,000. Continuation of the technology component. Engineering, as you know, the next generation science standards, engineering standards are part of that. Continuation of STEAM once again. The dollar amount that is illustrated here is about $535,000, $224. MEF is currently, I just checked their website, they are currently at $469,000.
Oh, wow.
And so when we talk about can we meet this goal, I have no reservations about meeting these goals, especially with the support that I'm going to get from all of you for the walkathon. And so we will, the challenge will come out to the classrooms. The challenges will come out to us again. The takeaway from our last committee meeting was that we didn't want to make this last event an event that determined our programs. We wanted to make this last event a fun event, a community event. And not that we don't have to worry about the dollars, but certainly the dollars would help us to meet our goals that we set here. Lastly, first of all, any questions about the conversations in terms of thanking the MEF and also the proposal for the programming for 1819? And if you think of any, just please let me know. You have my cell number.
Does that work overseas?
It does, actually. The What's Up app. What's Up app. Lastly, just in closing, I had in my notes the Parent 101, everyone's excited about. Christina mentioned that tonight. I don't know, Claire, I think it's a sellout right now. I think there's so many that's anticipated because I do believe the kid component of the math science played a huge part. April 17th is our principal study session at Meadows, 9 to 11. Administrative Professionals Day on the 25th. For the board, April 25th is our joint MSD MEF Council, 7 p.m. at Taylor Middle School. We'll take this night to honor our PTA and PTO and MEF leads. I've asked our food services department to prepare a little something special for our folks. We'll get that underway. April 30th is our next homework committee, Trustee Ferrario, 3:15. I'm ready for that. And then May 1st, we're slating to honor all of our retirees for the Millbrae School Districts. I believe we have 4 that are going to be honored at our regular scheduled board meeting that night. Another item that I just forgot is next Thursday, we are confirmed for the joint MSD City Council joint meeting. That was just given to us in terms of the confirmation. It is here at the City Council. I believe it's room A at the library. We were contacted by the city stating that will continue. It's next Thursday at 7:30 a.m.
What's the cutoff to put something on the agenda? Right now. And so, Trustee Barbara, if you wrote an item, if you had an item, go ahead and write that on a notepad, and I'll hand that over to Claudia, and she can inform the folks at the city by tomorrow morning. All right.
I don't believe I can make that meeting.
Next Thursday?
What?
I'll see if I can change things, but that wasn't really a lot of notice. So I'll see. And then, do we have any agenda items yet from our side?
We do. We are planning to provide the city an update to the presentation that was presented to us tonight.
Okay.
The facility
That'd be a
needs
good thing.
assessment. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving to the consent agenda, may I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second? Maggie? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved. District business. Approval of resolution in honor of the Parkland shooting victims and in support of greater measures to promote school safety. Fine.
Trustees, we bring this resolution as a recommendation, Resolution 17-1812, honoring the Parkland shooting victims and in support of greater measures to promote school safety resolution. And this was recommended by the San Mateo County School Boards Association, as well as a collaboration with all school districts in the San Mateo County. And so tonight we bring this resolution for your approval as presented.
Move to approve.
So Lynn moves to approve, second. Second, Maggie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 11.2, Resolution 17-1811, authorizing election under Public Contract Code, Section 22030 to become subject to uniform public construction cost accounting procedures.
Oh, this is the CUPA, right?
This is the CUPA, trustees. Thank you. This is Resolution 17-18-11, the CUPCA, which is President FEMA just spelled out in the acronym. We discussed this on our last board meeting. We're bringing this resolution for approval, so we may file with the county, with the State Controller's Office.
Motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Trustee Ferrario, second. Trustee Barbaro, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. And let's see, we are now at
School calendar.
school calendar. Okay. Approval of the 2018-19 school calendar. Vaughn?
Trustees, it's recommended that the board approves the enclosed 2018-2019 school calendar. The board selected the first and last day of school for the 18-19 school year. The internal specific dates were selected in collaboration with both MEA and CSEA. We bring this calendar for board approval tonight.
Motion to approve? Trustee Musa, second.
Second.
Trustee Ferrario, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. And 11.4, approval of the 2018-19 Board of Trustee calendar. Vaughn?
Trustees, as discussed at our last board meeting, it is recommended that the board approves the enclosed 18-19 school board of trustees calendar as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Barbaro, second. Trustee Musa, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Possible future agenda items. I'd like to add that Saturday CPR concept. Anybody else?
Second.
Okay, so I think we have no further business, so with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you for a great meeting, everyone.
Thank you. President Fama.
Trustee.